There's two groundbreaking comedy series, All in the Family and The Jeffersons,
We're moving on up. Moving on up.
will be brought to life Wednesday night with an all-star cast of characters in front of a live studio audience.
We have Woody and Marissa Tomei playing Archie and Edith. As George and Louise, we have Jamie Foxx and Wanda Sykes, Kerry Washington and Will Ferrell playing Tom and Helen Willis. Anthony Anderson is playing Uncle Henry. Ike Barinholtz is playing Meathead. Ellie Kemper is playing Gloria.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
All in the Family premiered in January of 1971.
Now I suppose you're gonna tell me that the black man has had the same opportunity in this country as you?
More. He's had more. I didn't have no million people out there marching and protesting to get me my job.
No, his uncle got it for him.
This dialogue was written to make people feel uncomfortable. Race, religion, politics is never an easy conversation to have.
Guys like us.
The theme song is fascinating because it really represents Archie's view.
Those were the days.
When the theme song is sung, you got Archie Bunker saying, "We want the good old days.
Girls were girls.
Girls were girls and men were men.
Didn't need no wealth.
Didn't need no welfare state. Everybody pulled his weight." That's conservatism.
It was the biggest television show in America. You're talking about an audience of 60 million people every time they do a show.
Part of what's so revolutionary is that they're just families. They're families that are very recognizable and relatable. They're sort of dipping their toe into difficult areas and having conversations that we are all still having.
We're at the at the plaque on the Norman Lear building.
We recently caught up with the legendary creator behind both iconic series.
The only thing I knew to write about was what I saw around me. There's nothing that we did on All in the Family or the Jeffersons or any other show that wasn't going on.
How about a woman president?
Oh, holy cow.
A woman president.
Mr. Jefferson, this may come as a big surprise to you, but women are much more oppressed than blacks.
I don't see no ghetto for women.
What do you call a kitchen?
These were problems people were dealing with. And the people who were dealing with them were people I knew, versions of people I know. Because I believe we have versions of one another.
Norman Lear, when you look back at it, was a genius. A genius, because who would think to put this bigot on television and surround him with all of these characters who represent so much in our country? Edith, the downtrodden wife. You know what I think?
What, Ma?
I think we ought to eat. Gloria, the feminist daughter.
Patty, do you have to treat Ma like she was a slave?
I treat her like a housewife.
Case closed.
Married to a very liberal guy who was forcing his father-in-law to confront his racism.
Black people have arrived. They're here. I ain't letting them in.
Archie Bunker was afraid of tomorrow, was afraid of progress.
The Jeffersons were the Bunkers' neighbors.
Ha-ha, you're in.
No, I ain't. I'm out.
George and Louise Jefferson had become so financially successful that they could leave Queens and move to the Upper East Side of Manhattan.
Who would have figured, except Norman Lear, of course, because he's a genius, that a spinoff would be the way to do it. And the rest was history.
Well, we're moving on up to the east side.
The theme song for the Jeffersons tells it all. Moving on up.
That song is inspirational and it's aspirational. It's celebratory. The song is dipped in black themes, black culture, black references, and black English.
Fish don't
fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of Turayan just to get up that hill. It only rhymes if you're black.
Now we're up in the big leagues.
For a lot of black people in this country, it was a theme song that just resonated.
The rest of the world had seen anything like the Jeffersons.
The Jeffersons represented a middle class, upwardly mobile. They were living the American dream.
You live in this apartment, right?
Uh-huh.
And you got an apartment in this building, too?
Yes, that's right.
Well, how come we overcame and nobody told me?
These shows were championed for inclusivity and diversity, and yet the people calling the shots, the producers, were almost exclusively white men.
When we first started on the Jeffersons, after they do the table read, they get up from the table and the director and the producers and writers sit there and discuss the scene. I didn't know any better, so I stayed at the table. Anyway, I started interrupting. Excuse me, black people don't talk like that. And they listened to me.
For many of the new cast, it felt like a perfect time to introduce these classic shows to a new generation.
I think that we're in this moment right now where the country is very divided. It just feels like the perfect time to kind of reintroduce, not just these characters, but this show and the issues it brought up to a younger generation.
You know what's really bothering you, Louise? You feel guilty about spending the money.
Well, I can't help it. It's the way I was brought up. A penny saved is a penny earned.
A penny?
The idea of bringing these shows to life at a time when so much of what we're talking about in these shows needs to still be talked about, and to bring these shows to a new generation of eyeballs, I wanted to be a part of that.
Gather around, everybody. I'm going to make a toast to Archie.
We couldn't be having more fun doing something that we love to do, reading words that were written by, Norman Lear.
Can't you men change the subject?
Yeah, Gloria's right. This is no time to be...
I'm talking, Michael.
Oh, boy.
I'm giddy. I think the whole thing is just straight out of a dream of mine.
The 90-minute primetime special hosted by Kimmel and Lear will be the first of its kind, and the pressure is on.
I think these are great shows, and I want to make sure younger generation knows them and understands why they were important.
I think there is, a responsibility to step into this production. I think the most important thing is you have to do a good job.
I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't nervous, if I wasn't scared, if I wasn't excited, if I wasn't proud. I'm all of those things and more.